It's 1428, and I'm still documenting from 18 Rock Street with regard to individuals in my proximity that have been offending my privacy and insulting my good name, my character and reputation. I've been slandered now for nearly 20 years, and the difficulty I'm having to come to terms with, I suppose, is that they're still conducting creative intellectual property theft, which I find baffling because it's quite dangerous. And they're also conducting exacerbatory retaliatory offences without acknowledging that they have no right or remit and that they're in breach. So I'm coming to terms with these difficult challenges of people that are being ASBO and displaying their incompetency as adults to display what they're supposed to display. Basically, they're supposed to provide their obligations and reparations, and so on and so forth, etc. There's so much that these people have not fulfilled the criteria of. But anyway, I'm confronted with this situation where there are discrepancies between our expectations and between what is required, which what is a necessity, and some people's expectations aren't meeting reality, and our requirements that are expected haven't been fulfilled. And there are people that have been cheeky enough to continue defaming, slandering and blaspheme in a situation where they're not really within remit. So I live on my own, and there are people that are in my proximity that really don't have consideration for the consequence of land trespass or violating the proximity of a royal blood on body. Like, these people have no idea of what they're doing. They just continue to cause offence. So the point I'm making is that there are exacerbatory offences being conducted, and they are quite serious because they're slanderous, and they're on behalf of ASBOs and the mentally disturbed that are of awful fraud and delusion and theft, and again more racketeering and more of the same that we've already seen from them already, and they've already damaged the arts. So they have conducted creative intellectual property theft. They have suffered, they've destroyed, they've disrespected their lives so much, they've caused so much harm to their own lives. It's so sad. Not all of them, some of them, but there are culprits that have caused damage to innocent life as well, and they just don't seem to be surmising or ascertaining the reality, understanding or comprehending this properly. So now I'm challenged with what most people consider ignorance. I'm confronted with the ignorance of people that are still out of remit, still conducting damages on my bodily integrity, still offending Salem, still offending the Catholic Church, still offending the Protestant Church, still offending my Catholic Holy Matrimony of the 30th of the 3rd, 2015. These people, they're beggars belief, These people are such bluffers into other people's portfolios. I'm astonished that anyone would think that they're safe actually conducting any transactions with individuals that are of creative intellectual fraud from my humanitarian endeavours. It's really serious that on a day like this, a modern day society, 2023, after what has happened since 2019, Brexit and COVID-19, it's astonishing that I'm still confronted with ASBOs that have no etiquette, common sense, common courtesy, when it's common knowledge that they're already quite very guilty and that they're already very dangerously in debt. As I've said, not just monetarily, there are people that their lives have been saved as a consequence of my recovery advocacy, So these people have a one-track mind about the buck and the dollar, and they're being awfully seriously naive about the pound of flesh and the story of Shylock and Portia and the whole gang in ancient Greece. But lads, this is very serious, and truly, when people don't know what proper protocol is, it's baffling that these people think they have a position in society living off my portfolio. I'm concerned that there would be anyone naive enough to think that they're going to associate their fraud with my legislation. The issue of drinking water is just one simple basic fact, and simple as it is, these people are still muddying the waters and still dirtying the situation, and clean water, you cannot put a price on it. So these people have either I don't know, a distorted perspective, or they're just not thinking properly. But there are requirements and they haven't been fulfilled, and unfortunately that's going to affect the children of the future. So those that are disrespecting the source of progress from me, oh my goodness, I'm concerned for how people think they're going to be living in a fairy tale where they have continued their fraud and not learned the lesson, like, you know, because there are a few lessons that these people have overlooked, and they've broken a lot of house rules, you know. So they've not observed the house rules, so how are they expecting to continue frauding through other people's portfolios, such as my own, that has saved people's lives via humanitarianism. So anyway, NATO, this is for your attention, and the Vatican as well, I suppose. There are people in this community that are causing problems to an innocent child's life that I gave birth to, and these same culprits, there's more choice words that most others would be able to label them as, but these same individuals expect to walk onto Kilflynn and Ardfert farm holdings of my family name and ancestors. So I don't know how they're understanding the family unit and the family pillar of democracy. Everyone knows about the democratic democracies perspective about the family unit, and people observing sanity and sobriety principles of my advocacy. So those that are up in Dublin that have distorted and disrespected and damaged, it's highly disingenuous, these ignorant people, the way they make spurious claims, and the damages they've caused to my face. The damages they've caused to my face are quite serious, just simply because of linoleum. And yet they're thinking of walking on 600 acres of beautiful, fresh, green pastures of mine. So these people are highly deluded. So China and NATO, you're aware now from my documentary, The Reality of the Circumstances, there are a collective in this country that have been poisoning and contaminating society with bad behaviour and bad publicity. I single-handedly addressed that in 2017, and it culminated as legislation in 2019. So China and NATO, there are frauds in this country, still living off my legislation and living off my land and not paying their debts and being dirty to innocent life and polluting the waters again, I suppose. It's really bad what they've done. It's really serious, and it's worrying that these people are accommodated as mentally disturbed people that have the cheek to put their name to other people's portfolios. So, as I've said, my experience of strengths and hopes as of 2017 to 2019 all brought about huge worldwide social reform. There are people that think they have a situation in Tralee County Kerry that is tidily and tightly serving their ostracism or their isolationist or their whatever neurotic mental illness perspective they have. They think for some reason that they have emptied out a community or damaged a community and run off to West Dingle there, you know, off to the very coast to hide away from the circumstances and problems that they're running away from in Tralee Town. They've disrespected Tralee Town, and they've disrespected Ondanga and Ikush as well. So the culprits are known to the worldwide stage. They've disrespected health and well-being industries as well. So NATO and China, if you wouldn't mind working with the reality of this circumstance and helping assist locate my son and protecting my farms from frauds of the HSE representatives who have damaged the HSE policy as well, I might add. It's quite repetitive, but it's all matter of fact. Any individuals of HSE fraud as of 2015 are not welcome or within remit around me. They're not safe to be procuring from my patronage or my property or my privacy with their slander or false reporting poor production initiative. So China, I'm of zero tolerance. policies. I'm democratic and I'm humanitarian, and my recovery advocacy has saved people's lives. We have drinking water that is purified and clean as a consequence of my spiritual, royal, humanitarian purpose. And I am still experiencing crimes against my faith, family, and fellowships. So, if China and Nato would mind um, stepping in to help assist and resolve peacefully and kindly and courteously, I'd be ever so grateful. The people up in Dublin are showing poor courtesy regarding the state debt that's owed to my name, and they're insulting my qualifications with job seekers allowance. So they're causing impoverishment as well, and they're not repairing any of the damages they've caused to my bodily integrity in these conditions. So the enemies of the state are up in Dublin, and they're living off stolen wealth, and their associates of fraud are a disservice to the children of the future. So China and NATO, I'd appreciate it kindly.